So index fingers point forward, we're spreading. We find our down dog arms, which we'll go through, and then we just move that humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket without the arms changing. So many people want to do this, but the arms stay and we move the humerus bone inside the shoulder socket. And so you can see really easily on her body, she's way better at it though. It's really improved, holy smokes. See how she gets that angel wing here, where it pops up? Gosh, she's gotten a lot stronger, hey? Yeah.
I hope so.
So you see how those shoulder blades are moving? And then push as hard as you can. Push, 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 push. And then see if you can shake your head. It's not bad actually, but it's a little taut. So then she's gonna let her arm bone sink in just a little bit, but she's not gonna get these ridges, which is really hard to do, and it's her nemesis right now. Pull the elbows apart. Yeah. Move the skin of the armpits forward. Nice. And then as she goes into her cat-cow, she wants not to lose those arms, so she keeps the shoulders. So exhale, kitty. Yeah. And then inhale into your cow. And this is where those angel wings want to creep back in the back bend. Yeah, see if you can pull this through without losing it. Nice. And then exhale into kitty. And then inhale. There you go. And you see that didn't change? And so what we see often as people come into those back bends is these huge angel wings popping off their backs and a big valley, and it's not sustainable, right? Same with inversions. We just want to have strength in that upper back. So let's give it a shot. If you're not sure, you can speak up at any time. It's the nice thing about workshop is we have lots of time. So index fingers are going to point straight forward. We're going to spread our all of our fingers away from the index fingers. We're going to push into the fingers. We're going to push into the palms. Remember, if we feel our wrists at all, we move back so that our wrists are really ahead of our shoulders, and they can be way ahead of our shoulders here. Or we can come to the point where our forearm is at a 90-degree angle. Okay, we don't go past there. And then we're going to think about an internal rotation of the lower arm, really pressing through the base of the thumb and the index so that there's absolutely no lift between the base of the thumb and the index. We're going to think about an external rotation of the upper arm, skin of the armpits moving towards the ears. Think about a stick in the elbow crease pulling back towards the hump of the elbow, so the crease moves back. Stick in the armpits lifts up into the shoulders and slides forward. And then once you find it, you're just going to do a couple shoulder push-ups here. So again, arms don't change. You're just moving that humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket and feeling those shoulder blades valley and then unvalley. Even just this action is so good for getting rid of neck and upper back pain, shoulder pain. Good. Keep zipping your belly. Try and keep that pelvis neutral. This is way better on you. Good. Good. And you could even, because your wrists are sensitive, be further forward if you felt them. You know what I mean? Because you're not using your brace. Do you feel them at all?
No.
Good. Zero pain in the wrists. And then go to that 10 out of 10 where you're pushing the floor away as hard as you can. Try and keep your ears with your shoulders so we're not turtlenecking. So this one is straight back, so your neck is up. So lift your head. You feel there's a bunch of wrinkles in your throat? So here, yeah. So this is a neutral neck is ears with shoulders. Okay. Perfect. So that if I did this, yeah, good. Nice. So again, push away as far as you can. Notice how it's a bit jammy. Let the arm bone sink in as deep as you can. Notice how it doesn't feel quite right. So push the floor away as far as you can, then let the arm bone sink a little bit until you can easily move the neck, until you can broaden the collarbones, and then try and keep that action as we exhale to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. And then we inhale, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. So exhale to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. And then inhaling, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. And then just going back and forth. So you see this bump here. So you want to bend, no. So bend. So there's a, yeah, exactly. So you feel how hard those muscles are working now. Mm-hmm. So those muscles are going to keep your shoulders from working too hard. So hyperextension, no hyperextension, hyperextension, no hyperextension. This is going to be physically harder, but it'll help you get less injuries, if that makes sense. Yeah, and if you can keep that and then rotate, that's exactly it there. So what I think of is a stick here pulling my elbows back. Yeah, nice. So we're going to put bends in the elbows, yeah. That mini bend in the elbows to keep them safe. Angry kitty, cow pose. So we're exhaling to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. We're inhaling, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up, and we're just going back and forth.
Can you explain the arm rotation again?
So it's an external rotation of the upper arm. It's an internal rotation of the lower arm. So this rolls that way, this rolls this way. See what that does to my elbows?
Yeah.
So this is too much external rotation, this is too much internal rotation. Right? What's in the middle? Both working evenly. And your elbows will be different than my elbows. And then we think about pulling the elbows apart, we think about the upper arm bones karate chopping in, we think of the skin of the armpits moving forward. And that's a down dog arm. Good. Then stopping with a nice straight spine, find your arms. Let's point our feet so the tops of the feet are down, push into the baby toes and the big toes, zip your belly, lift your ribs, and gently start with circles. So again, if someone had a serious neck or back injury, they would be doing this on their backs. Hands up, flipping the palms, fists, unfists, circles, right? We wouldn't even put them on their knees. Okay, so you feel your neck. So look at me. This is a turtleneck. So if I'm doing my yoga exercises with a turtleneck, right, and then I'm sitting on my computer, I'm doing my knitting, I'm doing everything with this turtleneck, my ears are stacked over my chest or my thighs. It's going to be a lot harder on the neck than if my ears are over the shoulders, right? So where are the muscles to get my head from here when I'm sitting are here. So if I do this, I'm not working those muscles. I have to lift my head up so that my neck is neutral and my ears are with my shoulders. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Change direction with those circles. The further forward the head gets, there's like studies or whatever, diagrams that show how much heavier the head gets if we don't carry our ears over our shoulders, and then how much heavier the neck, the heavier the head, the part of the neck has to work, the more it's going to get fatigued or open itself up to repetitive strain. And then stopping with the circles, let's take our knees wide, let's bring our toes to touch, we're going to take our seat back towards our feet. So my two favorite neck releases in child's pose is having height underneath the head, medium block. Why do you think that is?
Neutral neck.
Neutral neck, ears with shoulders, I can lengthen my upper back. There's different causes for neck pain, but there's also tendencies, right? So if we don't have blocks, two fist stacking, you kind of get a similar effect, right? So both work really good. And then we think about moving the hip flexors back. We take the elbows as wide as we need to, so that we're not getting angel wings here, and that we've got extension, no tension. We could easily shake our head for no. And then I like to think about the back of the neck as being a hammock. So there's no wrinkles in the back of the neck. I think of the C7, that bony bit, the bottom of the back of the neck that sticks out. I think of a sandbag on that, and then I think about a hammock at the back of the neck. So then letting that cervical spine just round. Sometimes it's nice to do like a mini nod here with the forehead resting on the block. You can bring your chin to your sternum very, very lightly and chin away from the sternum. Just a little bit. Chin to the sternum, chin away from the sternum. So you're moving the skin on the forehead away from the nose to the nose. Skin on the forehead away from the nose to the nose. Just tiny, tiny, tiny little movement. And then find that spot that feels the most relaxed for you, hang out, and just breathe into that space. Particularly breathing into the upper back, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, feel that space expanding right into the armpit, armpit, chest, sternum, collarbones, and throat. Big, beautiful breaths. Lots of energy. It depends on what you're trying to do. Yeah. Right now we've worked the arms pretty hard, so not lots of energy, but if you were, thinking you were prepping for headstands, lots of energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. So June 2 fists is the height we're looking for. Do you feel your knees?
Getting tired, so I...
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
It felt good, but...
Yeah. Either works. What are you feeling?
Just like that.
Yeah, let's give you some support. So I'm going to take these guys. This is more mellow. You take your knees nice and wide. Just slide this in here. I can even give you one more. There you go. And we could go one higher too if we wanted to. How does that feel? Is that okay? Yeah, better. Again, let me know if anything feels like too much. You can always soften it, and then you turn and look one way. See what, yeah. Does that feel okay on the neck?
Yeah.
Good. So, anytime working with the neck, where do we start? Anybody remember? Feet and wrists. Let's exhale out what we don't need, inhale in what we do. Exhale to let go of what no longer serves us. Inhale to draw in the opposite of whatever it is we're letting go of. And neck, people, are your necks feeling a little bit better? Do you notice it at all? Mm-hmm. It feels better already? Mm-hmm. Good. How about you, Mike? Does it feel any better?
Yeah, in this position it does.
Yeah. This looks good on you. Yeah, and then see if you can look the other way just to even it out. It's too much for the neck. You put something under your forehead too. Let's go 10 more breaths here, exhaling out what no longer serves us and inhaling to draw in the opposite of whatever that is. So exhaling out what no longer serves us and then inhaling to draw in the opposite of whatever it is we need to let go of. Then when those 10 breaths are complete and there's no rush whatsoever, you're going to bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Nice inhale to come up, back into tabletop position. Index fingers pointing straight forward, spreading your fingers from there. Knees and feet are hips distance apart. Ears are with the shoulders. We're zipping up our belly. We're pushing into our fingers and palms. And then we're going to hook our toes and we're just going to slide that right foot away from us, taking those toes as far away from us as is humanly possible. So, superficial back line. People with really tight mid-upper backs have incredibly tight toes. Just a thing. So we really want to stretch out those toes. And so often if we just do dog, 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 we never actually stretch out those toes. Now watch those heads, no turtlenecks. Lift up into the back of the skull. Make sure the ears are with the shoulders. Make sure it's very easy to shake your head for no. And then bring that right foot forward, and this time stretch out the Achilles. So toes forward, reach with the Achilles. Think of a mini micro bend in the knee. Those of us that can, hamstring goes towards butt, calf goes towards heel. Extension, no tension. We're pushing into our fingers and our palms. Then we bring that foot forward. This next one, it's an internal rotation of the foot to hook the baby toes, which puts the knees in a bit of a, it's in a position that we don't want to do too much with the knees. So once you hook those toes, slide those toes away from you and just really listen to your knee. So right now, some of us will be able to get the baby toes all the way up to the big toes, but some of us, we're just gonna get the baby toes. We wanna make sure we stretch those baby toes because they can become jerks. And then watch that we're not sickling in the ankles. Get rid of all the wrinkles in the heels. You know what it feels like to have wrinkles in your heels and neck and get better. And then if and only if, so really listening to my words here, if you're already getting a nice stretch in those toes, just stay where you are. If you want more stretch, you can start to bend the knee towards the floor, but no wrinkles in the heels. And then nice and slow, bring the knee up, lift the foot, bring the foot back to neutral, and then just again, stretch out those toes. No one should feel their wrists, no one should feel their knees, everybody's ears should be with their shoulders. Good. And then let's do the other side. So keep your toes tucked. Left toes are going to slide away from you. Knee points straight down, slide those toes away. Make sure you can shake your head for no. You're pushing into the fingers, you're pushing into the palms, you're zipping your belly. Heels are centered. And then bring your foot forward, lengthen the heel, get that nice Achilles stretch. Lift up the back of the small from you, my ears with shoulders. Lift your head up right there. Now tuck your chin so there's no wrinkles in your neck. There you go. Tuck your chin more. Yeah. And then bring your foot forward, bend the knee, hook the toes and baby toes, get them and just slowly start to straighten that leg out gently. Get rid of all the wrinkles in the heels, slide those toes away, ears with shoulders, zip your belly, hips level, push into the fingers, push into the palms. If you're tired at any point, just rest. And then if you can keep the wrinkles out of the heels and you truly need more stretch and you did some on the other side, you could start to drop your knee. Not letting those wrinkles creep in. And then nice and slow, we're going to lift that knee, we're going to bring the knees forward, and we're going to sit on 1 or 2 or 3 or 6 blocks. We're just going to put it between our ankles, and I'll help you out. We'll see what you're going to do. And you're going to sit like happy with this. So we're going to go like this. We're going to point our feet. We want to have the baby toes as close to the floor as the big toes, and we're going to see if we can sit back and not feel the knees. Is that working?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, 6. And we'll see how this goes. And just, we don't want to feel our knees at all. Just sitting back if you can, but if you feel your knees, you're going to let me know. We'll sit back and take the weight there.
That's it.
Good. See if you can bring your knees towards one another. Eventually the thighs will touch. And then see if you can lift the skin of the knees. Nice. That just means we can sit a little bit longer. And then for fun, we're obviously stretching out the ankles a bit, but let's strengthen them a little bit too. See if you can lift your ankles. So we're pushing into our toes to lift our ankles, and eventually it's a straight line from the baby toe edge of the foot. You can slide your fingers underneath those ankles. But the tops of the feet are coming down. Good. Shoulders back, heart center lifts. Nice. If you can't get the lift in the ankles at all, add another block. Interlace your fingers, right hand on top of left hand. Again, make sure you can shake your head for no at any point. We're going to bend our elbows. We're going to bring our elbows together, our elbows at our shoulders height, and we can shake our head for no. So again, not for people that are in chronic all the time, you know. It's going to be a lot, but for us, we're good to go. We're going to start to make circles with the wrists. Fingertips pushing into the back of the hands, palms rooting. If we can't keep our elbows together, then we visualize a ball between our elbows. Good. can't have our elbows up at a shoulder's height, it'll be more mellow if they're lower. And then find that neutral neck. Can I shake my head for no as we change direction with the circles? Kicking down into the V, zipping the belly, flesh of the butt away from low back. So I call this one brain washer. Sam, do you feel you're getting triple chins? Yeah, good. Because if everyone, when they sat down at their desk, did this series, we would have a lot less neck and shoulder injuries, particularly frozen shoulder, which is a bit of an epidemic. And then stopping with the wrist circles, try and keep the elbows together as we come into forearm circles. And again, just noticing, when does it get tense in the neck? Can I pull my humerus bones in so that I can shake my head for no? Change direction. Try and keep the pinky wrist and the thumb wrist stacked so you're not rotating the forearms in this one. Watch that neck sound. Bring your forehead forward just a little bit. Yeah. So I think about the back of the skull rooting back, forehead rooting forward. Think about the ears lifting up. And then stopping with the circles again, checking that we have no tension in our neck. We're going to inhale to slide the elbows up, exhale to slide the elbows down. Wrist stacking, feet kicking, ankles lifting if you can. If you have to relax them, you can. And then exhale to bring those elbows down. Flip the hands, straighten out those arms, pull the wrists and the elbows apart. Make sure you can shake your head for no. Not a bad place to do a couple shoulder push-ups. And then for today, let's try and keep those arms straight and let's bring those arms up really slowly, just wherever they get to. So again, not bending or twisting to get them higher, but really honoring the shape and letting them release where they are. Then wherever we get to, let's do a couple shoulder push-ups. So again, shape of the arm stays, and we just move the humerus bone in and out of the shoulder socket. And then find extension, no tension. Maybe you can look up gently towards the hands, wherever they are, look up. Get that extension of the back of the neck, and then bring the chin back to neutral and look straight ahead. If you ever feel your knees, you're gonna let me know. We shouldn't feel our knees at all. And then we notice which fingers are not connecting. The goal is to eventually keep the pinky fingers and the ring fingers together. I find pushing my pinky finger into the back of the opposite hand really helps. Tapping the thumbs really help. Then shake my head. Is my neck relaxed? Just go 5 more breaths here. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, we're going to bring those arms down. We're going to flip the hands, palms face up, shoulders relax. So is it the weight on the knees? Because we can swap up the seat too. Do you want to just best feel like that? Good. Then just let those palms face up, let the shoulders relax, close your eyes. So one of the tricks is to think flutter kick and just kick your feet down. Takes it out of the knees. So it's like you're pushing down into your feet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Push it down.
I'm a little too high here, but
Yeah.
it's not intimidating. It's really
Okay,
nice.
now let me grab you in between.
Actually, now my knees are okay.
Now, it's going up. I'll give you this guy just in case we've got kind of an in-between half block. Sometimes you just need to warm up. Then if you need to open up the backs of the knees, you can come into tabletop position and just stretch them out if you need to. If you're comfortable sitting, just stay sitting. We're going to interlace our fingers, left hand on top of right. We're going to bend the elbows, bring those elbows together. Make sure we can shake our heads for no, no problem. And let's just do some gentle wrist circles. Remember, we never sit through knee pain and we never want wrist pain. Change direction with the wrist circles. And you could do any ankle stretch. Sometimes we do the bolster stretch, right, which is a little bit deeper in the ankle. Just depends on what you're trying to do. again, try and keep those elbows glued. Make sure you can shake your head for no. Let's do some forearm circles. Trying to keep those elbows as high as the shoulders if you can. If you can't keep them together, think about them holding on to a ball or a block. Humerus bones moving as little as possible as we change direction. And find the connection of the fingers here, particularly the pinky finger gets lost, so really push the pinky finger into the back of the opposite hand. And then stopping with those circles, inhale, elbows straight up, elbows straight down, inhale, straight up, exhale, straight down. Trying to keep the wrists and the elbows stacked, trying to keep a nice neutral neck, zero tension in the neck if you can. Then exhale to bring the elbows down, straighten out those arms, try to commit to those pinky fingers, catching on the back of the left hand if you can, thumbs touch. Straighten out those arms again, make sure you can shake your head for no, do a couple shoulder push-ups if you need to, and then a nice smooth inhale to bring it up. Wrists pulling apart, elbows pulling apart, thumbs tapping if possible. Try and get the thumb wrist as high as the pinky wrist, and then do a couple shoulder push-ups here, and just see what that feels like. And then find a nice comfortable place. You can shake your head and then just close your eyes and breathe. Big, beautiful breaths. Let's find you a different seat. So we'll try this. You can come sit down like this. And then you cross your shins, and I'm going to give you something right in there, okay? Be mindful because it can be a little wobbly. So it's usually better to start on the floor and lift up. Let's see how it feels. Let's go 5 more breaths here. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, we're just going to bring those arms down nice and slow. We're going to flip the hands, palms facing up, shoulders back, close your eyes. And just breathing here. Nice, smooth, even breaths. And then when you're ready, coming forward into tabletop position, index fingers pointing forward, open up the backs of the legs. And if you want to open up the legs, you can, but you can stay seated because we're all going to join you in the seat. So just opening up the backs of the knees, stretching out those toes. And then once you feel like you've opened up those toes enough, you've opened up the backs of the knees, we can come into a comfortable seated position. So the options are to either roll over our toes like that, right? Or we can bring our feet out to one side, our hands out to the other side, coming down onto our outer hip and sweeping the legs forward. So the trick is to make sure that the knees are not higher than your hip flexors. So to get up onto a bolster, you just kind of keep your knees bent, you sit up, you cross your legs. If your knees are higher than your hip bones, then you need a second bolster, right? And if you're using a second bolster, then we're also going to grab you one of these guys. You can also sit on a block. Block or bolster works. You can also sit on 2 blocks. Yeah, just especially if you're working it today. You might find out your second side. Yeah. never mind, you got two.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'm gonna grab you a mini. So we're gonna eventually come back to straight legs and just look at our feet. This goes here. And then you're gonna walk your feet as wide as you can. Yeah, and then push your feet down and you see how the knees will drop. There you go. Don't force it. Do you feel it in the knees at all? This foot comes forward. Yeah. All right, so just turn up our ankles and get them ready. We're gonna uncross our legs. So we lift our knees, we straighten out the legs. Find a little bit of a mini bend. Make sure the knees are going the same direction as the feet. And just point and flex, shoulder heads back, armpits coming forward. And then keep the knees pointing straight up towards the sky. Big slow circles. Change direction with the circles. And then stopping with your circles, flex your feet, soles of the feet flat, curl your toes like you're holding onto a pencil, point your foot like a dancer, flip your toes, and then flex your feet. So the feet are really active, there's no wrinkles in your heels. Try and keep the action of the feet as if they were standing on the floor, but the toes were slightly lifted. Cross the right shin in front of the left shin, walk your feet nice and wide, and let the knees come down. So if we can keep the wrinkles out of the heels, we can keep the feet nice and active, karate chopping the feet down. We're going to be able to sit for longer and our knees are going to be happier. So keep the nice action of the feet. Hands push into the thighs. Nice inhale to lift the chest, shoulders back. Michelle, whatever you want. Interlace your fingers, right hand on top of left hand. Bring the hands to the back of the skull like you're doing a headstand. Root the head back into the hands, reach with the elbows, and think about the forehead rooting forward. I can do it. Simple. So again, really important to keep the ears over the shoulders. Find those elbows. Reach the elbows in all directions. Good. Gently root it to the back of the skull. Gently push the forehead forward. Think about someone lifting your ears up, and think about sliding the back of the skull up like you're lifting the head away from the shoulders. Good. Let's start by exhaling to bring the elbows to one another, inhaling the elbows apart. Exhale to bring the elbows to one another, and inhale the elbows apart. We can rest anytime we want to rest. And then bring those elbows apart. See if you can make circles with those elbows. And we're going to bring these hands up just a little bit, and just a little bit, and you're going to bring your head back. There you go. Nice. Try not to lean forward if you can. Change direction with your circles. If it feels like too much, take a rest. Do you still have a neutral neck? Are you looking down? Are you looking up? Or are you looking straight toward the horizon? And then stopping with the circles, elbows wide, lift your hands up, flip your hands so that the palms are facing up towards the ceiling. Try and connect with your pinky fingers. Pull the elbows apart. Try and get the palms flat if you can. And then nice and slow, lift the wrists as you pull them apart, keeping your hands over the crown of the head, even if it means you don't straighten. Just nice and slow, just different. Pulling the elbows apart as we lift and lengthen the hands up. Ears with the shoulders. Floating ribs to one another and back. Zip your belly, flesh of the butt down, root your legs. Remember, we don't sit through anything in the knees, and we keep those feet nice and active. See if you can get your thumb wrist as high as your pinky wrist. And then do just a couple shoulder push-ups here. And then find that place of extension, no tension. Close your eyes, breathe again. Can you shake your head for no? Is the front of your throat relaxed? And then releasing your fingers, but keeping that shape. We're going to bring the hands down halfway. We're going to glance. We're going to see if we can get our thumb wrist and our pinky wrist level. If at any point it's too much, you can bend your elbows or bring your hands down beside you or palms up, whatever works. But imagine you're pushing your hands, the circumference of the palms, into a wall, and you're pulling your fingers away from the wall. Bend your elbows a tiny bit so that I can't see it, but you can feel it. And then go to that spot between your shoulder blades and think about pulling the humerus bones together, almost like you're trying to take those shoulder blades or angel wings and squeeze something like an orange. Just a wee little bit. So here's your shoulders. Let's get the wrists down. Yeah. And then see if you can get pinky wrist and thumb wrist level. So again, Rome wasn't built in a day. Be gentle. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Bring your right ear down towards your right shoulder without twisting. So we're very good at twisting, June. Yes, so we're not shoulder checking. What we're not so good at is just taking the right ear straight down without twisting. So just the right ear comes down, but we don't turn our gaze to the right. If that makes sense. I'm going to come behind you. This is your stuff. So armpits forward. Yeah, feel that difference? Good. Straight and then down. Now slowly rotate. So you just hold this because this is really tight. Does that make sense? So you bring your chin down, but you miss this collarbone stretch. Pull those collarbones apart. Those of us that can go to our sternum and slide the sternum up and move the ribs that are attached to the sternum away from the sternum and lengthen and broaden those collarbones, go for it. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward, fingers away from the wall, palms into the wall. Do less if you need to. And chin comes back up to center, nice and slow. So again, you can shoulder check till the day is long, right? Don't shoulder check. Just bring the left ear straight down without twisting. Straight down. You can bring your arms down anytime you want to. Push into the palms, pull the fingers away from the wall, mini micro bend, shoulder heads back, skin of the armpits moves forward. Broaden the collarbones. Take the collarbones away from your throat. And then rotate. Forward. If it's very easy to straighten the arms, then you can bring the palms of the hands together. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. If you can't straighten out the arms or it's difficult, just take the palms apart. So straight elbows is your priority. Extension, no tension, reach the arms towards the floor, pull the elbows apart, draw the upper arm bones in. One more time, lift your sternum up, and then without letting the shoulder heads come forward or the sternum drop, drop your chin down towards your sternum. And just keep lifting the sternum. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward, big, beautiful breaths. No wrinkles in the heels if you can help it. That's how you're going to release your hip. Make sense? That, now lift your legs down. Keep the feet, lift the back thigh, lift them, find your stuff. Good. And then chin comes up nice and slow. Release your hands, let your palms come forward, palms facing up. Close your eyes and just breathe into it. And then when you're ready, we're going to lift the knees, we're going to uncross the legs, we're going to take the legs nice and wide, and we're going to scooch forward just a little bit on our bolsters. If our stick is still handy, we're going to make sure that the center of the foot is in line with the center of the knee, which is in line with the hip. Okay, so we're not doing this. we're not doing this. But the ankle, the knee, and the hip are in a straight line. I'm tracking my foot so that my foot is going the same direction as my knee. So my foot's not twisted out or in. My knee is directly in line with my leg. It's not out or in. That's important. Then push into your feet, lift your toes. If you can keep that alignment and bring your feet in, then by all means do. But if it causes your knees to go wide, it's a different stretch than we're going for right now. Grab onto your knees or your shins. Nice big inhale to lift and lengthen. Shoulder heads back. Make sure you can shake your head for no. And then pushing into your feet as you slowly start to bring your torso through those thighs without the thighs going wide. Maybe the fingers can come forward. Maybe you can walk the fingers forward. Don't let those knees move. Maybe you can start to let the head get heavy, let the shoulders relax, and then just breathing into your back. And finding that spot where you're feeling it and breathing into that space. It's a different stretch. So we're going to take the feet out. Yeah, quite a bit. There we go. And then toes point out, heels point in. There you go. Nice. So a 90-degree angle. It's just a different stretch. This is prep for this, right? So this is a superficial back line stretch, whereas that, what you're doing is prep for squat, which is more of a hip stretch, low back stretch. Different. Not that the other one's not great, it's just completely different. You feel the difference? Yeah. Yeah. So this is more like a wide-legged forward fold. You're doing more like a squat in the other one. Both are great, but you need to be able to teach both to people that can't do it, you know? Hip, knee, ankle. Does that make sense? You feel the difference? It's a different part of your hip that we tend to avoid, different part of your back. Let's just go 3 more breaths here. If we can avoid where we're tight or where we're blocked, we are going to avoid it, right? So we've got to find ways of doing things so we don't avoid it. And then nice and slow, let's come up. Let's draw those knees back to center. Straighten out those legs a little bit, but keep those knees bent. And again, just a little bit of pointing and flexing. Shoulders back, armpits forward. Maybe some circles. Maybe circles the other way. And then flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl, point, and flip, flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, keep your toes nice and active, spread them. Don't let the wrinkles come into these heels, right? That really keeps our knees safe in addition to starting to open up the hips. Bring your legs in, cross the left leg over the right leg. Generally, we have to move back a little bit on our butts. And then we walk the feet quite wide to bring the knees in. And we try and keep the action of the feet as we let those legs come down. Hands on the thighs. Nice inhale to lift the chest. Shoulders back. Sit up nice and tall. Good. We're going to interlace our fingers. Left hand on top of right. We're going to bring our hands to the back of the skull. We're going to bring our elbows up. Again, make sure you can shake your head for no. So especially if you're a turtlenecker, see if you can really get the ears over the shoulders. Move the skin of the armpits forward. Go to your sternum, slide your sternum up. And if you can, get the sternum ribs to pull apart, collarbones to pull apart, keeping that space open. So this as opposed to, right, where we tend to go. Head gets super heavy, neck gets super pissed off. All right, let's clap those elbows. Exhale, elbows to one another. Inhale, elbows apart. Again, this is just gently starting to move the humerus bone. Keeping that neutral neck. So if the chin starts to drop, you start to feel extra chins here. If the chin starts to lift, you start to feel wrinkles creeping into the back of the neck. Head roots into hands. Hands are just sliding the back of the skin of the head up a little bit. Elbows come apart. Let's start with forward circles. Much better neck end. Nice. Gentle. Use your peripheral vision, see if you can follow the elbows, see if they're somewhat symmetrical, if they're working somewhat equally. Watch that neck, Jane. So you're coming forward and you're shortening in front, lift your sternum. Yeah, there we go. Change directions, backward circles. Try and keep your ears right over your shoulders if you can. Try and get that pinky finger connection. Watch when that chin drops and just lift it up a little bit. And then stopping with the circles, take your hands, flip your hands on the top of the skull, get your wrists level if you can. Engage that pinky finger, don't let it get slack. Pull the elbows apart, broaden the collarbones, and see if you can shake your head for no. So on this variation, we're gonna not worry about straightening the arms, we're just gonna think about keeping the hands on the head as we slowly bring those arms up, and we can rest whenever we like. Some of us do this stuff 3 to 5 times a week. Some of us do it never before in their life. So, be mindful. Only worry about your body. Now, is there space between my ears and my shoulders? Can I create that space? Maybe do a couple shoulder push-ups to see if there's space to be had. So we're not changing the elbows. We're literally moving that humerus bone inside the shoulder socket. And then we find that place of tension. Move away from the tension if you find it, and then bring your gaze up just briefly. And then let your gaze come down. Close your eyes. Big, big breaths. Skin of armpits moving forward. Upper arm externally rotating. So we're moving the skin of the arm that's closest to our ears back, and the outer arm forward. Find that spot where you're holding. Think about breathing into that space. Head back, pretty well. Yeah, there you go. Let's go 5 more breaths. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, you're going to release your fingers. You're going to bring your arms down halfway. You're going to put your thumbs on the inside. You're going to make fists, and then you're going to bring your arms down halfway again, so they're halfway to a T. We're then going to bend the wrist. So we're going to pull the fingers to us. We're going to take the wrists away. So halfway to a T. And then look, are my arms forward? Are my arms back? Or are my arms in line with my torso? And then mini bend the elbows. Head back, shoulders back, armpits forward. Lift the sternum. Zip your belly. Are you on the center of your sit bones? Do you have a neutral pelvis? Right ear comes down towards right shoulder without rotating. We don't want to do what we're good at, right? Because then that's repetitive strain. We want to do what we're not good at, which is do it a different way than the way we always do it. Move shoulder heads back. Yeah, nice. And let's lower those arms a little bit. So halfway to a T as your wrists are in line with the waist. Hip bones. So this is a T. That's not halfway to a T. Does that make sense? Piece of a pie. And then nice and slow, let's rotate the chin now. So we brought it straight down and then we rotate. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Breathing. Gentle stretching. We only have one neck. You never want to overdo it. And then nice and slow, bring that chin back up to center. Opposite ear comes straight down without twisting. We are not shoulder tucking, we're shucking it up, we're stretching the neck. Again, gently rooting the back of the skull back, gently rooting the forehead forward. This is some gentle nerve sliding, maybe not so gentle, do less. And then rotate the chin. Breathe into it. And chin comes back up to center. Release your arms. Let the palms face up. Let the shoulders relax. Close your eyes. And just breathe. Big, beautiful breaths. And then we're going to interlace the fingers behind our backs. Left hand on top of right. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Lift the sternum, but don't pop your ribs, so no back bending. If you can straighten out the arms with the palms apart, then you can think about bringing the palms together. And then think elbows pull apart, upper arm bones karate chop in. Reach the arms to the floor without tension and see if you can bring the back of the skull back to start with. And then nice and slow, just drop the chin. So again, if someone was in serious neck pain and couldn't move their pain, you wouldn't go near their neck until their neck was not in pain, like chronic all the time. Let's go 3 more breaths here. And when those 3 breaths are complete, bring your chin back up to neutral, release your arms. See if you can get your ears over your shoulders, palms up, close your eyes, and big, beautiful breaths. And then when you're ready, hands to the outer thighs. Grab onto those knees to keep those knees hinges, to bring the knees up, uncross. Open up the backs of the knees. Let's come onto the floor. Move your bolster. Take your hands behind you as much as you need to so that you can find a nice straight spine, shoulders back, ears over shoulders without tension. Some of us can have our hands right beside us and we get the lift in the chest, but some of us have to be behind, okay? Find the center of the sit bones. So most of us are sitting on the backs of the sit bones. So see if you can go back to the sit bones, center of the sit bones, front of the sit bones, front of the sit bones, center of the sit bones, back of the sit bones. And just move back and forth on the sit bones. Does anybody not find that? So now when you sit at your desk, when you sit in your car, when you sit down for dinner, try and find the center of your sit bones. Let's find the center of the sit bones. Shoulder heads back, armpits forward. Get the ears over the shoulders if you can. Good, and one last time. We're just going to do some pointing and flexing. I'm going to do some circles. If we wanted more of a wrist stretch, we could point our fingers out. If we still wanted more of a wrist stretch, we could point our fingers forward. So again, working with those wrists. Tight wrists hurt the neck. Change direction or directly. Tight wrists are directly related to neck pain. That's a better way of putting that. And then stopping with your circles, flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, curl, point, and flip. Flex, curl, point, and flip. And then flex your feet and then see if you can pull the big toe mounds away from one another and the baby toe mounds to one another like you're book footing. Just like this. So big toe mounds are drawing away, baby toe mounds are drawing to. We're keeping our foot flexed. And then we're going to point and flex with that.
Are you trying to keep the knees straight up?
Yeah, ideally, but they will rotate out a little bit. So if you can, get those shoulders, right? So if you're doing this, it's less effective than if you're doing this or even this, right? Ears over shoulders, ears over shoulders. So if you have to do it lying down to get ears over shoulders, do it lying down. And then flex, and then go back to neutral, so big toe mounds level, and then try to go the opposite way. So again, try not to move the knees too much if you can. Take the big toe mounds away from one another, take the baby toe mounds to one another. Try and keep that neutral neck. Back connection. It's a great way to keep your arches. All this stuff is, I'm sure we're feeling our arches. And release. Nice. We're going to come down onto our back. So coming forward, have a block handy. Knees and feet are going to be together. Make a nice C and come down nice and slow. Stacking the spine. Then taking the feet that hips distance apart. Remember what it was like to have the blocks between the thighs and the feet at the wall? Try and find those feet, and then you're going to take your block underneath your pelvis at either low, medium, or highest height, but the shoulders remain down. And then think shoulder heads to the floor, armpits to the sky, arms in nice and close, feet are straight like they're on a pair of skis, and then see if you can just gently lift the toes up. Really moving the flesh of the butt away from the low back, injecting your hamstrings if you can, and moving the calves forward and down towards the heels. Flesh the butt away from low back. So if you can, let's see if we can slide, because your weight didn't rest on that. Yeah. Yes, we're just letting the block take the weight. Yeah, and the block is below our hip bones. I like to have my toes lifted because then I know my shins are active, but I want to make sure that my big toes aren't working harder than my baby toes. So this is a shoulders distance. So bring your feet around the block. So the block is pretty much shoulders distance for you, so take your feet to the block. Yeah. Oh, you've got a block there. Yeah. Believe it or not, that's shoulders distance. Hip, knee, yeah. You go shoulders are wider, right? But we need to find with you this. Keep your knees safe, start to work on stabilizing the hips. For you, that's both blocks. You're close, but come in just a little bit. And if you can, I want you to put your feet on this block. Nice, and then use your thighs more. So if there's a block between your thighs, your inner thighs would be dropping the block, the outer thighs would be squeezing the block, inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block. So your feet, do you think they're hips distance or shoulders distance? They're shoulders, which is fine. You can teach this in shoulders, you just won't work as hard. So it's an option if you want it to be, but if you want it to be hips distance, they should be closer. What's that? Closer. They're bigger than my hips. Somebody else's hips, but not yours. Okay, thank you. And then see if you can find the floating rib cage in the front coming to one another, and then lengthening that back rib cage. Yeah, feel that lift in the chest. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a good motion. So, I've heard people call it the hoodie. So you're pulling this up over the back of the skull. Does that make sense? Now find your arm bones and get rid of your bellies a little bit. So push down and have the elbows apart. But again, it's like sometimes you find one and you move, you know.
Yeah, and it's harder to find them in, like, very
Less active.
Yeah.
So if this tugged into our knees at all, can anyone tell me what you do? Want to go to? Walk your feet away from your butt. And I'm going to walk your feet away from your butt anyway, so that your shins are at a 90. All right, so you're really getting the outer thighs. And keep your knees over your ankles at the same time, inner thighs drop the block. So you're going to pull your inner thighs to knee. Right, so outer thighs squeeze in, inner thighs pull apart. Outer thighs squeeze in, inner, does that make sense? Now your knees are standing right over your ankles, which we need as you move into your wheels and your Urdhva. Make sense? So the yogis say that there's a lot of pressure points in the neck and the shoulders, and that this It's like doing acupressure on yourself, this particular pose. Obviously, it's a great chest opener. So this is great in combination with core for neck and shoulder issues, but we started with just the basics. So for people that hunch a lot in their job, core, bridge, core, bridge, core, bridge. Obviously we can't do everything today, but it's nice to get a little info. These feet forward. Yeah, that's perfect. Just put it forward, that's better. Nice, you got that lift here now, you feel it? So it's ribs, lengthen, shoulder heads, and now your guy comes and he lifts up, right? He's a bug and he's going this way, and his legs are stretching that way. You feel it? You got a bug in your sternum. Just go 5 more breaths here. So listening to me carefully, can you lift your heels without getting a shortening in your inner heel, without getting too many wrinkles in your heels, okay? So you can keep your feet on the floor, inhale your pelvis up, bring it down. Inhale your pelvis up, bring it down. Third time, inhale your pelvis up. Maybe you can lift your heels without your knees going wide, without your ankles going wide, without getting wrinkles. See if you can remove the block, then bring the heels down evenly so that the inner heels hit at the same time as the outer heels, and then maybe you can come down slower. Do you feel the difference in the legs when you activate your ankles? You use them, right? It's more leg muscles if you connect with those heels, and what do the leg muscles do? They keep your backs nice and safe. So if that felt like the best ever back bend, it was no biggie for you, you can go right into Shavasana. If that was a big back bend for you, you might want to hug those legs either straight or rocking just to lengthen out that low back. It just depends on how much back bending you do. And then when you're done, you bring your feet down one at a time. You'd find a neutral pelvis, bring your arms out beside you, palms facing up, halfway to a T. You'd lengthen the back ribs, you'd relax the neck and the shoulders, and then you'd straighten one leg at a time, finding Tadasana pose first, really active legs, and then you could just release. You could do Tadasana with your feet at hips distance apart if you had more sensitive hips and knees. If you don't have sensitive knees and hips, you could do Tadasana with your feet together, and then let it relax. If you've got back or knee stuff, it's better to do Shavasana with some height underneath the backs of the knees. So you could either put a bolster there, or you could put a couple blocks there. And then just close your eyes, be as still as you can be. It's amazing how quick 2.5 hours goes, hey? The first 5 minutes, you're like, how am I going to do it? and then you're like, Shavasana.